Welcome to week 3 of Tristan's Spectacular Picks, and I think it's time to throw some curveballs. How's it going, everyone? It's Tristan Folks, and we're going into week 3 of the 2025 NFL season. I'd say that these are not the easiest of games to be predicting this time around. So this video will pretty much be ran the same as last week, and I'll make my picks and I'll preview what we can expect, as well as the Eliminator Challenge, and we'll go more in depth on the Pick'em League that I am running, how it's doing, and that will be how the videos will run all the way until the end of the regular season. And we'll also include my week 2 reactions to my own video after the final scores have been official. Anyways, let's begin, because some of these games we're going to go a little in depth about. The Buffalo Bills enter this game 2-0 with a solid win over a divisional opponent in the New York Jets. The Jets haven't won a game, but it is really setting up to be a battle for who doesn't finish last in the division between them and the Miami Dolphins. There is tons of pressure on Miami and head coach Mike McDaniel going into this game, and there's no other way to put it. I do at least expect this game to be really competitive and not so much of a blowout. But as Tua mentioned in an interview, Josh Allen can do more than him. And I'll be taking Buffalo for Thursday Night Football, even though I do got some odd feelings about this one. It's another divisional matchup to open up Sunday, and Atlanta acquired Parker Romo, who went 5 for 5 on field goals in the battle of the field goal kicking competition on Monday Night Football. I believe Atlanta will be better going to the red zone compared to that game, and Carolina is going to try to hang on, but I do believe they are going to struggle against Bijan Robinson alone in Charlotte, so give me Atlanta here. Tucker Kraft very well may be my new favorite tight end in the NFL after that performance a week ago with him on both of my fantasy teams, even though I lost. They did lose Jaden Reed, but they're also going up against Cleveland. The Browns did show some fight defensively in week 2, but they eventually got worn down, and I expect the same thing against what appears to be an elite team. So in return, I am going with the Green Bay Packers here. There's indeed a chance Houston could start the year 0-3. We all know they are lacking a healthy offense, and Jacksonville has scored a lot under Liam Cohen. I want to see a little more defensively for Jacksonville, but I do actually believe that they can win this game at home, and that's actually who I'm going to choose. And hopefully Brian Thomas Jr. can just forget about the last game, however, for the most part. Last week, both these teams lost their quarterback. Joe Burrow is going to the IR, and J.J. McCarthy had a rough go at it in week 2, and he is also injured. This ends up setting a quarterback matchup between Jake Browning and Carson Wentz. Minnesota is more banged up than they were in the past going into this game, and Cincinnati may be 2-0 right now, but they have not won in ideal ways. I expect the Vikings defense to pressure Browning, and I do trust a veteran quarterback in Carson Wentz, honestly, to help this offense be where it should be. So I'm going to actually pick Minnesota here. When I mentioned the Pittsburgh defense needed to allow less than 32 points after week 1, I did not mean 31 points and lose. I'm going to be honest that picking the Patriots here, it feels like an attractive option for me, as I do like their potential with their wide receivers, and I feel they should look into running the ball plenty in this football game, as Pittsburgh has allowed 299 yards on the ground already after 2 weeks, which is shy of 150 yards per game. However, I'm going to give them one last opportunity, and I'm going to expect that the Steelers play much tighter defensively, because if they go 0-3, the panic button is going to be pressed, and it's going to look like SpongeBob's brain when it caught on fire. We got a couple of 2-0 teams going head-to-head here. The Rams' travel schedule has not treated them well, as they were just in Nashville last weekend, and they're going to do a cross-country trip all the way to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And I do feel this game is where we will see a great battle, and the Rams, I feel they'll have more passing yards, while the Eagles, I feel they're going to be a little better on the run, but this is going to be significantly close by all means. However, I do feel that the travel is going to be the difference in some way, somehow. Probably with the help of the push-tush, the Eagles will get the 3-0, but it can truly go either way, honestly. I'll be honest, you may think that this game right here is going to be clear cut with one team being 2-0 and the other 0-2, but I don't believe that whatsoever. The Jets ended up losing Justin Fields, and they will have Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback for week 3. And my very own team out of Tampa has lost 60% of their offensive line, and they also had a massive loss defensively. But what I do expect in this game is Todd Bowles is probably just going to spam blitz at the Jets like crazy, and I feel that will just end up being enough for the Bucs to win wearing the white creamsicles for their home opener. It's insane that Indianapolis has yet to punt the football this season, and Daniel Jones and his team just continue to thrive, even though they did get some luck on their side last game. And he'll go up against Cam Ward, who in my opinion is having a very solid start to his rookie season, and I just don't think he's going to have enough help. And Tennessee has held their own defensively, in my opinion. I am going to ride with the momentum that the Colts have and pick them to win. Both of these teams had a rough go in week 2. The Raiders come into this game as the most recent team to play, and that is the opposite for the Washington Commanders, who come into this game banged up. I do still expect Jaden Daniels to play in this game, and we're going to see Croskett Merritt be the running back due to the loss of Austin Eckler, which I do believe he has the potential to be that number 1 running back. And I would be expecting Washington to win here, but the Raiders will give a fight, but they cannot give the football up as soon as they get the ball like they did on Monday Night Football, so they're not chasing the game the whole time, essentially. I don't believe this is how we imagine the AFC West would be looking like right now, with the Chargers in the lead by themselves, with Denver and Las Vegas tied behind them. The Chargers have had a solid start to the year, and it is crazy that they go up against all 3 of their divisional rivals 3 games in a row. And by all means, the Chargers haven't looked the sexiest offensively, but they are getting the job done, minus on the run. Denver has had a slow, sluggish start to the year, and they could be both 2-0 or 0-2, honestly. But Denver has continued to find ways to make the games they play in more competitive than it needs to be. And I would expect the same at SoFi Stadium, so we're going to be taking the home team playing there that day. You know, New Orleans has not been bad at all, but they are going to be playing in their first away game of the season, hosted by the Seattle Seahawks. And for me, this one is just clear-cut with Seattle at home in their environment, and they did have a great showing with some gifts last week from Pittsburgh, as honestly I would say that things are coming together with Sam Darnold at quarterback, and literally everything else, they really stepped it up from week 1, so I'm going to trust Seattle here to get the job done. I thought the Dallas Cowboys would have not allowed as many points as they did, but the Chicago Bears, on the other hand, got ran over in week 2 completely, and they were the team that allowed the most points after all. There is an opportunity that this will happen again if the Dallas offense just explodes, or you give Brandon Aubrey, who used to play for this club right here, an opportunity to kick a field goal. And I'm not too sure how Chicago is going to respond, so I'm going to choose Dallas here. This game in the late afternoon has the chance to be the best game during this time period. Both teams are 2-0, and both have shown similarities in their games, such as not being good in the second half. The Cardinals are indeed healthy over the 49ers, and you can really go either way here. But for me, I do like what Mac Jones did last game for the 49ers, even though their run game was not the greatest. But I expect that to be a little better coming up, and I'm really not sure what to expect truly at all, but I do feel the 49ers will win on a matter of a defensive battle against the Cardinals, and they'll put pressure on Kyler Murray in this game. There is a chance after this game that Chiefs Kingdom is just destroyed upon Kansas City returning home from this game after Sunday night. The last thing they wanted to go up against is a quarterback with the most passing yards in the NFL, and that's Russell Wilson at 618 yards. He did explode last week, but I do believe the Chiefs defensively will end up cutting down those numbers. Patrick Mahomes very well may have to play hero ball in this game to pull it off, and I do think he will use his athletic ability so they don't go down 0-3, and we're going to see his best performance of the year and get the Chiefs a win. For Monday Night Football, it's Detroit against Baltimore. The Detroit Lions had their bounce back week in week 2, and the Ravens also saw their first win of the year. I don't feel the Ravens were as good in week 1 in some aspects, and they did have a lot of trouble running the ball. But I do feel that'll change as much as Detroit has their own weapons in St. Brown, and they have their own two-headed monster on the run game. I sense Baltimore will win this game under the lights and have another great defensive showing, just like they did in week 2 to win it. But remember what happened when I said something along the lines of this last time. And for my tiebreaker, and as we all know, this connects to the last football game of the week with Monday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and Baltimore Ravens. I have a total of 61 points being scored in this game. It's a 33-28 scoreline in favor of the Baltimore Ravens. Please do not ask where I got 33 from. Now we're going to get into the Eliminator Challenge, and for this, all 3 entries are still alive, as we were extremely close to losing our 3rd entry in week 2, but thankfully we still got full flexibility. For this video, I'm once again going to choose 3 different teams, which none have been used yet this season, and I felt fairly confident with these options. So first, we have the Green Bay Packers. It is an away game, but after Green Bay's hot performance, I expect something similar against Cleveland, and I don't have any questions with the amount of weapons the Packers have to rely on, while the Browns have not scored more than enough points to win games realistically. I could see the Browns stopping the run, but that's about it. For entry 2, I have Seattle, and after my questions in week 1, I don't have any concerns for Seattle going into week 3 after their week 2 showing. This could very well be an offensive slaughterfest. New Orleans hasn't been a push-off yet, but I feel it's just a matter of time. Lastly, we have the Buffalo Bills as entry 3, and we talk about divisional games time and time again, even on this channel, and as they say, you know your division more than anyone else. I just believe Buffalo is better off on both sides of the ball, honestly, and this will be able to carry them on to 3-0 for the season, so I do expect Miami to show a push though. Now we're going to take a look at the Pick'em League, which we have more players this time around as well, and I will display what the league standings look like afterwards. We see how everybody did in week 2. So for week 2, Max ends up winning for the 2nd week in a row. I quit. The rest of us were very much in the pack, but we are all essentially chasing Max, who did have an absolutely spectacular week. We have a 2-way tie for 2nd, and then a 3-way tie for 4th, another 2-way tie, which is between best friends for 7th, and Michael is just hanging on to the end of the pack in 8th, and my mom only picked for Thursday and Monday Night Football, so we need to work on picking all the games still. I felt we did better on the games, but the stats here are not going to show this as much. A reminder that the percentages are from everyone who voted, so for those who didn't vote, do not count to this. And we ended up going 100% on 6 of the 16 games, which is barely off from week 1. And then on the other hand, we only went 0% on 1 game, which is 1 better than last week. And that game that ended up getting all of us was the Pittsburgh Steelers giving the Seattle Seahawks free points on behalf of Caleb Johnson that included a game-winning touchdown. So thanks. We really appreciate you. Overall, the standings do feature Max in the lead with Joshua, aka Jockington, tied with myself for 2nd place. And also the note, my mom has been passed by 2 people that started a week behind. I love her a lot and all. I just don't want her to finish last because her football IQ is quite good in my opinion. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Let's see what I said in week 2 and what does Tristan think about what he said. Here we go.
To open up Thursday Night Football, it's a difficult one right off the bat.
Now when you got Tucker Craft, if you know you know, let's go.
High intensity. The connection from most of the neighbors needs to be better because I'm just uncertain about it right now. I am going to have the...
I've changed my mind now, by the way, y'all.
And I expect a much better showing for Detroit, while Chicago will give them a run for their money, but I am choosing Detroit here.
They wanted Ben Johnson big time in that game.
Seattle may see Charbonnet lead the backfield and become the new #1 running back, potentially after scoring a touchdown and having 2 more touches than Kenneth Walker III.
I mean, that was still the case by all means, but Kenneth Walker had a much better game, honestly.
Once again, is the
And
difference.
this,
That's why I will choose
the
them.
defense did
They
not
also
show
need to allow
up
less
in
than
this game
32 points. This game will be a big one.
Ding,
It's
ding,
not
ding.
because John Elway is going up against Peyton Manning.
It felt that way, though.
Knicks did not perform to
I'm
a
gonna be
standard,
honest.
which I don't want the pressure he's
I would say Indianapolis got away
Daniel
with
Jones,
that
on
one,
the
as
other
we
hand,
know.
is enjoying. And the Swifties will be going wild in the stands, making without a doubt when Travis Kelce makes a big play. However, that appears
That's
not to be
literally
the only
the
good
only
connection
play
that Patrick
Mahomes
Mahomes
has
is
to
going
throw
to
to
have
us. I
as
just
they are
said in the
really
video.
weak at wide receiver, which is my concern.
It showed.
And I expect J.J. McCarthy's best game because it can kind of only go up from here, but it can also go down.
It went down,
I
y'all.
expect it to go
It
up.
went down.
Thanks, Junior will continue to see who had problems keeping footballs through the uprights.
They were that scared, they
Behold,
got a new
it's my very
kicker.
own Tampa Bay
So
Buccaneers
you
against
can't
the
blame me for that
Texans.
one.
My third team choice will be the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has not lost since
This
2020.
scared me so
I
much.
was impressed with how
But
Dallas
I
played
realized
overall.
that Brandon Aubrey was
Lost.
about to hit, I think, a
don't
60-plus
see
yard field goal.
really
And I was
much
like,
of
it's going
anything
in. I have him in
from
one of my
Giants.
fantasy
Once
teams, so I
again,
said,
it is a
we
divisional
have to
matchup,
get this
but
hit.
Dallas
And then he
should
hit
see
another
it.
field goal in overtime
I
to
will
win
see
it.
this
So
coming out of this
thank
one
you,
with
Brandon
the first
Aubrey.
league.
Thanks everyone for watching the Week 3 version of Tristan's Spectacular Picks for the 2025 NFL season. We will see you coming up for Week 4. Take care, everyone, and go Bucks.